Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. This is Bob Bittner from MEDCO Tool. I am the category manager for the Tool and Equipment Division, and as I had stated earlier this evening, I'd like to take the opportunity to welcome each one of you to MEDCO's second webinar. Tonight's webinar is being hosted by Associated Battery Equipment. Our presenter for this evening is Mr. Gary Mackey. Gary has been with Associated for the last 3 years in the capacity of a National Accounts Manager. Previously, Gary's experience is very extensive in the automotive aftermarket. He's been in the aftermarket for over 40 years. He had spent many years in distribution with the Wright Tool Company. Having left Wright Tool, he went to work for the SBX Corporation, where he served as their National Accounts Manager for 20 years, calling on OEM manufacturers. As I had stated before, he has been with Associated for the last 3 years, calling primarily on the national accounts and dealing with the OEM manufacturers such as GM, Ford, Chrysler, BMW, and Caterpillar, helping them to develop charging solutions for their specific needs. Based on Gary's activities, Associated is one of the few manufacturers in the battery equipment area that has been approved by most of the OEMs. Tonight's seminar is going to cover several topics. We'll look to basically get into AGM gel battery chemistry and the importance of proper charging of these battery types, and also where we may find these batteries showing up in the automotive aftermarket. We'll also be talking about things such as stable power supply to vehicles during the computer reflashing process, also while hunting down intermittent electrical problems. And then also we will hope to get an understanding of the ramifications of what happens when we disconnect a battery in today's vehicle without a proper backup source, and what this can do to the vehicle and the computer and related systems. At this point, I would like to present the rest of the evening over to our presenter, Mr. Gary Mackey.
Bob, thanks so very much. As Bob mentioned, I'm Gary Mackey, the National Account Sales Manager for Associated. We're going to be covering tonight new battery and system technologies and how it impacts the way we service vehicles today. We're going to start off by asking a simple question. Is your shop missing a critical piece of the service puzzle? Do you have a charger that's capable of charging new technology batteries, AGM and gel batteries, as well as conventional batteries? Do you have a battery charger that's capable of putting out 14.2 volts? Batteries today found on many vehicles are what they refer to as AGM, or absorbed glass mat batteries. These batteries, the chemistry and the makeup of these is entirely different, and unlike conventional batteries, they cannot be charged with a regular battery charger. Charging an AGM or a gel battery with a regular battery charger, you can damage it in as little as 60 minutes or even run the risk of blowing the battery up. Do you have a clean power supply in your shop? Today, many service procedures are not always putting a new part on the car. A lot of times it's a matter of reflashing the computer or hunting down an intermittent problem. And as you'll find out as we get along further in our discussion, a lot of intermittent problems are, quite frankly, bad grounds, and you need a good ground reference point to make sure that you're tracking your problem down correctly. The other part of the puzzle is, do you have a means of retaining memory in the vehicle when you disconnect a battery cable? Disconnecting a battery cable in today's vehicles can be extremely costly, and if you disconnect a battery cable without having an adequate power supply backup, you can lose all of the presets and require often to have that vehicle towed to a dealership for reflash, which can be hundreds of dollars and hours of time. Let's talk a little bit about AGM batteries and what's so different about those. Basically, there's two styles of AGM batteries. There's what they refer to as a spiral style, which it uses glass mats wrapped around a lead post, and the only electrolyte or battery acid that's in these batteries is retained in a a sponge glass mat material. They're 100% sealed and vent very, very little. A more conventional battery that you'll see in many of the vehicles today is what they refer to as a conventional design AGM battery. Same functionality, though. It's a sealed battery with little to no electrolyte. It has a lot of advantages over conventional batteries. So these are the two types of batteries that you're often going to see under the hood of today's vehicles. Literally every vehicle manufacturer is using AGM batteries in some, if not all, of their vehicles. I'm talking about domestic vehicle manufacturers such as GM, Ford, Chrysler, Jeep, imports such as Toyota, BMW, Mercedes, and also motorsport vehicles such as Harley Davidson or off-road equipment manufacturers such as Caterpillar, Tractor, or John Deere are also using these new battery types. Guys often tell me, well, I'm not seeing these batteries in the vehicles that I'm servicing today. Well, let me tell you, there's 25 million vehicles on the road today with an AGM battery. These batteries were first seen in more specialty vehicles such as the 99 Corvette, the 2000 Prius, but they became very, very mainstream in the European cars about 2007, the Beamers, the Mercedes, the Jags, the Land Rovers. Japanese and Americans came on board more 2008 and 2009. But all in all, there are 25 million vehicles on the road today with an AGM battery, and that number is growing exponentially at a rate of 6 to 8 million vehicles every year as new vehicles roll out. Why AGM batteries? Why are the manufacturers moving to these new batteries? Well, they provide a lot of advantages to both the car manufacturer and the consumer. First of all, they're lighter, which helps with CAFE fuel economy standards. They have little to no electrolyte or battery acid, so environmentally they're very friendly. They're 100% sealed, so they can be mounted in any orientation. They don't always have to sit, under the hood in a straight-up manner. They can be mounted on their side. They can be mounted on their end. You'll find them very often today mounted under the front seat, the back seat, or even in the trunk of a vehicle. These new batteries are a must for the new start technologies on many of the vehicles that are coming out today. That new stop technology, if you're not familiar with this, is the technology that when you pull up to a stoplight, your vehicle literally shuts off. But that doesn't mean your air conditioner, your heater, your headlights, your radio, all the accessories on the vehicle keep going. So you need this new technology to keep these systems alive. The important thing as a service technician that you need to know is you should never, ever charge an AGM or a gel battery with a regular battery charger. And you're going to say, why? Well, regular battery chargers, even though it's called a 612-volt battery charger, even if it's an automatic, the typical output on those battery chargers is 16 to 18 volts. Only charge these new technology batteries with a microprocessor-controlled and telematic smart charger. Microprocessor-controlled smart battery charger has a computer on it, much like a scan tool that you'd find, in any of your scan products. AGM and gel batteries should never be charged at a higher voltage rate than 14.2. Conventional battery chargers have no means of limiting charger voltage output. This is a typical front panel of a telematic smart charger. And if you take a look at the control on here, you notice there's no timers and there's no rate switches. I'm going to take and move my cursor around. Over on this button here, you have the ability, it has an off button in the center, you have a charge position, or you have a crank position. Up on this selector switch, you have a mode for charging flooded batteries, such as maintenance-free, deep cycle, or conventional batteries. Down on the bottom position, there is a selector switch for charging AGM or gel or valve regulated batteries. This switch down at the bottom is what we refer to as a dead battery override switch. So you notice there's 3 LED lights on the top. These are your controllers of the battery charger. The first light is a red light, and when you plug the charger into the wall outlet, it will come on solid, letting you know that you have 110 to the charger. When you hook the battery charger up to a battery, because these are smart chargers, they need to see a minimum of 4 volts. So if you get a really, really dead battery, the battery charger doesn't see the battery. So that's where you take the dead battery override button, which is down at the bottom here, and you simply push it down. It's a spring-loaded button. You hold it down for 5 to 10 seconds. That puts enough surface charge on the battery that the charger could then see the battery. During the first 15 minutes that this charger is hooked up to a battery, it does several diagnostic procedures. The first thing it does, it checks for proper polarity, both polarity indication and protection. So if you hook the charger up incorrectly, you're not going to blow ECMs, you're not going to blow up batteries, and you're not going to damage the charger. It will also look at the state of charge. So if it sees the battery is heavily sulfated or deeply discharged, it performs a patented function called deep discharge recovery. Basically, it's a rejuvenation process to bring the battery back from a sulfated state. Also, during the first 15 minutes that the battery charger is hooked to a battery, on its own, it goes out and tests the battery 4 times. About every 3.5 or 4 minutes, it will go out and run a quick diagnostic test on that battery to see if the battery is holding the charge that the charger is putting in it. At any of those 4 tests that it sees the battery is not holding the charge, it will blink that red light, and that indicates a weak or defective battery. So you don't spend 2 hours trying to charge a battery that is absolutely not going to accept a charge. The second light on our light panel is a yellow light. This light will come on when the charger is in what we call bulk charge mode. The charger, if you notice, does not have a rate switch or does not have a timer. It automatically establishes the charger output and the duration just under the gassing point of the battery type. So while the charger is in bulk charge mode, that yellow light will be solid. When that yellow light starts to blink, that's an indication that the battery is now 80+% state of charge. Why is that important? If you've got a busy shop and you've got tons of cars sitting out on the drive waiting to get in to be serviced, 80% state of charge will start any vehicle under any conditions, any place in the country. So let's get that car out, get it to the customer, get them driving down the road, and by the time they've driven 3 or 4 miles, the alternator will top the vehicle battery off anyway. But you can leave it on, and it will go to green in an extra 15 or 20 minutes, but that's non-productive bay time. The last button we're going to talk about is our green button. And when you first hook the battery charger up and you have proper polarity polarity indication, the green light will stay on solid for about 6 seconds just to let you know that it's hooked up properly. If you get a combination blinking red and green, that's an indication that you've got the clamps reversed, and the battery will not, or the battery charger will not come on until you have proper orientation, but you won't do any damage to the system or the battery. Once the battery becomes fully charged, that light will start to blink, and it will go into what we refer to as a float mode. This will allow you to leave that battery charger on the battery for an indefinite period of time. If you left it on 6 months, it would never hurt that battery because it's just monitoring battery voltage If it sees the need to come back on, it will charge up and turn back off again. The other important thing in today's service is the need for a power supply. Many people end up buying an auxiliary power supply that does nothing more than act as a power supply. We've integrated a number of features into our telematics series of chargers. And today, you must have a power supply to do a lot of functionality on servicing a vehicle. Vehicle reprogramming, you must maintain a battery voltage of at least 12.4 volts, and you need to maintain that between 2 and 12 hours. For that function, we've built up to a 70 amp power supply that delivers a perfectly flat, clean signal that delivers 13.7 volts at up to 70 amps. Most of the reflashing, or what we refer to as drivability diagnostics, is performed in what is referred to in the industry as key on, engine off mode. Well, just think about today's vehicles, what happens when you go key on, engine off on today's cars. By just opening the car door, you can have up to 15 amps of interior light draw, headlights pop on, blower motors come on, fuel pumps come on, you wake up a navigation system. You very often may have 15 or 20 onboard computers wake up that often take at least a half hour or more to settle back down or go back to sleep. It's not uncommon to have a vehicle draw 65 or more amps in the key on, engine off position for a long period of time. There is no way a battery will be able to retain that functionality during a 2 to 12 hour reflash. The other thing that a lot of techs do today is a thing referred to as drivability diagnostics. I understand a lot of shops at this point don't do reflashing, but pretty much everybody hunts down intermittent problems, or what they call drivability problems. Often a good tech today will take go into the vehicle, turn the ignition on, and go under the hood and with his multimeter or his oscilloscope, and he starts checking all the ground points for good ground reference. Well, with all these draws on that vehicle and the alternator not running, putting power back into the vehicle, that battery is being sucked down like a vacuum cleaner. There's no way that he's going to be able to identify a good ground from a bad ground, because every place he checks, he gets a different number. If he's got our power supply hooked up and it's putting out a perfectly flat 13.7 volts, every place he checks, he should be getting 13.7 volts as a reference number. So it's a great diagnostic tool as well as a power supply. We make an entire family of telematics smart chargers, from 10 amp chargers that are not seen in this picture to 20s, 40s, 60s, 70s, and we make them in both 12 and 24 volt models. Many of these have power supply modes in them as well. This is almost a necessity on today's service. The need for a stable power supply. To operate our power supply, you put the selector switch in what we refer to as the power supply mode. You need to put the charger selector mode in the charge mode, and then when you hook this up, it's going to deliver that perfectly flat, clean 13.7 volts through the battery. This is an ideal scenario for vehicle reflash or drivability diagnostics, and there's very few chargers on the market that have that functionality. The other thing that's really important, and this is a brand new patent feature on one of our new chargers, is a memory saver feature. When removing battery cables on today's vehicles, it is a necessity that you provide backup power to that vehicle's electrical system before you pull off that first cable. If you don't, you have a real risk of losing all of the presets, including clock, radio station, seat positions, drivability computer on the car, and if the car has got a theft deterrent system on it, it's a very good possibility that it will lock up all systems on the vehicle, requiring a complete vehicle reflash, which can take up to 12 hours and is very costly, often needs to be done at a dealership. So it's smart to have a power supply hooked up before you do any battery cable disconnects. So how does it work? Okay, so on the front of our charger, we have a power port, much like you would refer to as a cigarette lighter port. We provide a 12-foot flat cord power supply cord that plugs into the diagnostic connector on the vehicle. It's capable of delivering 20 amps, although the cord itself, like the diagnostic connector on the vehicle, is fused at 5 amps. So when you're going to do this, it is very, very important that before you disconnect the battery cable, that you hook the charger up, turn the power supply mode on, or the memory saver mode on, close the car doors, and make sure that the interior lights are went back off, because you can easily draw up to 15 amps of interior lights on a minivan or some of the upper scale vehicles. And seeing that the diagnostic connector in the vehicle and the cord is fused at 5 amps, it's easy to overload that. So we want to make sure that the doors are closed and the lights have went off before you disconnect that battery cable. You don't want to spend time resetting clock positions, radio stations, seat positions, and of course you can't reset the drivability computer and the theft deterrent system on the vehicle if you've lost it. So you make sure you back that system up before you undo that battery cable. This is an exclusive feature on an associated charger, and that port can operate any of our memory saver cables. It can be also used to charge anything from a cell phone to other 12-volt accessories. We also provide with this charger protective boot covers. These are insulated boot covers because when you run power either through the diagnostic connector or through a cigarette lighter port on a vehicle, those cables under the hood are now hot because you're backfeeding the system. So what we want to do when you pull off the first cable is you want to cover it with a provided boot. This prevents accidental arcing or sparking or shorting the system under the hood. This is critical so that you don't accidentally do any damage to the vehicle while you're disconnecting the cables. This function can be done other ways, and if you've already got an Intellimatic smart charger in your shop, a good alternative is a good power supply, booster pack or quick start that can be used with a memory saver cable. We provide a 22 amp hour unit that has the memory saver cable inclusive in the package, and so you get the booster pack and the cable as part of the package. This booster pack has a built-in charger integrated into the pack, so you don't lose the charger or have it fall off the workbench and get damaged. It's built right in, and any extension cord could plug into the back of this booster pack to recharge it. You've also got an output on the front for running accessories or your power supply. It has an LED state of charge indicator, so before you disconnect that battery cable, you want to make sure the booster pack is charged and ready to go. In addition, they have a 32-inch, heavy-duty cable clamp set up for boost assisting vehicles that may be sitting on your lot for a period of time. Something that's almost a necessity on today's vehicles is a good information guide on where the batteries are at on today's vehicles and how do I access them. Associated has just introduced the new BG27, which is our new battery guide that is designed to show you where batteries are located. OEM manufacturers have lots of orientations in where they're putting the batteries today and where they're locating them. So even finding a battery sometimes is a problem. This guide covers vehicles from 2000 to 2012, and it covers domestic, Asian, and European vehicles. Many vehicles today have removed the battery from under the hood. The location that batteries have always been most of all of our lives, mounted next to a 300-degree manifold, is probably one of the worst possible places that you can put a battery for longevity. So today, mounting batteries in the vehicle compartment, under the front seat, under the back seat, or even under the trunk, or in the trunk under the spare tire, is a much better solution for battery locations. But you need to know where it's at, and this guide helps you find a lot of that stuff. This guide is set up with good tutorial pictures of make, model, year, and applications of where to find the batteries, service procedures on resetting procedures in the event that you lose them. It's a great guide, and at under $100, it's a great addition to any shop. And it covers all years, makes, and models from 2000 up to 2012. So it's a pretty important thing to have in a shop so that you can quickly identify any of your service needs with batteries. A little bit about why associated when you're considering buying your next charger, and hopefully you're buying your next charger as an Intellimatic charger or a smart charger. I'm on the ETI, which is the Equipment and Tool Marketing Committee, and we recently did a survey on the readiness of the aftermarket to service hybrid electric vehicles and vehicles equipped with AGM batteries. And the general result was that only 24% of the aftermarket has the proper equipment to charge these new batteries or work on hybrid electric vehicles. So a little bit about why Associated. Associated is the only battery charger manufacturer that's still building chargers in America today. Everyone else has pretty much moved offshore to China, Taiwan, or Mexico. We do 100% inline testing on all of our products, so virtually eliminating any out-of-box failures that you might possibly have in your new purchase. We're the only charger manufacturer that offers a full line of smart chargers and chargers with power supplies, and the only charger manufacturer that has a memory saver feature in a charger. We're the only charger line with OEM vehicle manufacturers. It doesn't matter whether it's General Motors or Ford or Chrysler or BMW or Mercedes or Harley Davidson or Caterpillar Tractor. If you look in their approved service equipment manufacturers books, Associated is the only charger line that you'll find in those books. We totally foam pack our chargers at shipment to virtually eliminate any damage that could occur during shipment or warehouse handling, and that's a nice feature that you don't get a product damaged out of the box. We also fully assemble our products, so when you get them out of the box, the axles are on, the wheels are on, the front flip's on. All you have to do is slip the handle and the charger is ready to go to work. Associated is the only charger line that has UL endorsements for safe in any weather. You can use our charger out in the rain or the snow, any kind of inclement weather, used car lots, body shops, places where cars are often charged outside. This is a huge advantage because there's no way you're going to get shocked or have any electrical system problems using an Associated charger in any kind of inclement weather. We also provide best-in-class warranty. We provide a 5-year limited, up to a 5-year limited warranty on many of our chargers, and our closest competitor is a 3-year limited warranty. The other thing that we have is 200 plus authorized repair service centers across the U.S., Canada, and Puerto Rico. There's no sense and making freight companies rich, shipping products back and forth to the factory or repair centers. So we have repair centers that can service our product in a day or two in literally any market across the U.S., Canada. So it's a matter of dropping that charger off locally, picking it up in a couple of days should it need to be serviced. This is part of our test procedure. We have a number of test benches, so as our chargers go down the line, and during assembly and during post-assembly, we check every single switch, knob, controller, output to make sure that they're performing to spec. So, and we track them by serial number. So we know when it was made, we know how it worked when it went out of the box, and so we can make sure that we don't have any product problems with our line. Basically, most people don't realize, but there are 4 classes of battery chargers. We're the only ones that really make all 4. Your next charger that you probably should have in your shop today should be probably an IntelliMatic charger. If you've got a lot of other chargers in your shop, conventional chargers are going to be around for a good long while because flooded acid batteries are going to be around for a good long while, but you just can't ignore that 25 or 30 million vehicles out there today that are that have these new batteries, and you must address those. We are also the only charger manufacturer that builds commercial chargers. These are chargers designed for fleets, off-road equipment guys, contractors, school bus garages, maintenance departments, where they need a charger that has tremendous output. These chargers can easily put out 100 amps continual, 400 amps as boost assist. We have a whole family of what we refer to as heavy-duty chargers. These are still chargers very rich in associated features and much heavier than the other products on the market from other competitors. Then our standard series line, this is relatively new to Associated. This is our what we refer to as standard duty line, and although we refer to it as standard duty, it's still rich in associated features. It's still made in USA. It's still rated safe in any weather. It still has a powder-coated enclosure. It still has 400 amp clamps, tangle-proof cords. It's got all the associated features and can still be serviced by any of our 236 centers across the U.S. Features about associated charger: we use 4 or 500 amp vinyl coated clamps, many with spring guards. We use pure copper cabling in our product. Many of our competitors use mixed aluminum wiring. We use a multi-piece enclosure, including a 16-gauge galvanized base, which prevents rusting and corrosion. We are the only charger line with the UL endorsement for safe in any weather. We have a 5-year warranty opposed to 2 or 3. We have a patented multi-diode rectifier. What does that mean? Well, that means that we have a 20-button diode rectifier, and when shops start using battery chargers as car starts, and they don't follow car manufacturer guidelines or charger manufacturer guidelines to limit your cranking time to 5 to 7 seconds, it's very easy to burn out diodes in the average charger. Most charger manufacturers have only 3, or some of the better ones have 4 diodes. We put 20 diodes in our charger. You'd literally have to burn out 17 diodes in our charger before it would stop functioning. We're the only charger manufacturer that has power supply modes in their chargers. These are important features. OEM approvals. Again, we've got the OE's blessing on our charger line. We only deal with a professional technician. We are not interested in selling our products through mass merchant retailers like Walmart or Costco or the likes. We really just deal with a professional such as MEDCO. We have patented polarity protection on a lot of our chargers and polarity protected clamps on others, which indicate at point of contact whether you have it properly hooked up. No one else has that. And we are FTC compliant, Federal Trade Commission compliant, all or virtually all made in USA. So an awful lot of reasons why associated. These are just a highlight of some of our telematic products. Our ESS 6008 is our 60 amp charger, 70 amp power supply. This is our first one that picks up the memory saver feature, but the memory saver feature is an option on this charger, the cables. This is our main focus charger here, the ESS 6008 MSK. This includes the charger, the memory port, and the protective covers, and the memory saver cable. We also make, for fleet applications, a 12, 24-volt charger that can operate on 12 or 24-volt conventional or AGM systems. We make small chargers. This charger here was rolled out as an essential charger when the new 2009 Jeep Grand Cherokee came out from Chrysler. Every Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and Chrysler dealer in the country is using this charger for charging AGM batteries, as well as a power supply for doing drivability diagnostics or reflashing vehicles. So it's a portable charger, but it packs a lot of power. This is a more powerful version. This is a 40-45 amp. This one picks up boost, and for applications where they don't want a roll-around charger, this is the most powerful and telematic charger on the market for a portable. We also make a series of telematic gang chargers that are capable of charging 4 batteries at one time. In fact, we can charge 4 different battery types at one time. We can charge a flooded acid, a gel battery, an AGM, and a valve-regulated battery all at the same time. You have 4 separate sets of control. It will let you know when each battery is finished. It works with the same LED lights, a red, a yellow, and a green, and it puts out 20 amps per lead set, so it's really an 80 amp charger. This is ideal for parts departments for keeping battery inventories fresh. There is a lot of problems in parts departments that don't rotate inventories properly, and once a battery is hit 12.5 volts, it starts the sulfation process, and if you don't get it brought back quickly, that's the start of the end of that battery. So it's very, very important for parts departments to keep their battery inventories rotated and checked and charged on a regular basis. A parts department can roll these on and roll them off as they see fit during the course of their workday. As we talked a little bit about service, we have 200 plus authorized service centers across the U.S. and Canada. And Puerto Rico, and it's just a matter of going on to our Associated Equip website, which you see listed there, clicking on the state or the province that you're in. It will drop down a menu with all the cities and states where our warranty repair centers are located. You can drop the product off there and get it serviced and typically pick it up in a couple of days. You can send it back to the factory if you so choose. Just mark it repair department, and it will be repaired and returned to you. If the product is out of warranty, we or any of our service departments can still repair those products in or out of warranty. I know we don't have the ability to answer questions you may have today, but please contact your representative from MEDCO. Bob Bittner will take it over from here, and if you have questions, please contact your MEDCO representative. Thank you very much for attending the meeting tonight.
Gary, on behalf of MEDCO and all the attendees this evening, I'd like to thank you for taking time out of your day to, number one, share your knowledge and information on some of the changes that have taken place in the marketplace in regards to battery charging and the type of things that we should be looking out for in the future as far as information that we can pass along to our customers to help them prevent some of the shortfalls that they fall into when approaching battery charging in an incorrect manner. A lot of shops out there aren't fully educated as far as some of the, as we talked about before, the pitfalls, which can be very costly to their business.
Well, when I was doing the work with ETI, Equipment Tool Institute, and we did this survey, it was pretty shocking when we got the test results back. Obviously, the OEM vehicle manufacturers, if you go to the GM or the Ford or the Chrysler garage or the Beamer garage, yeah, they have the equipment to charge AGM batteries, but the further you get out into the marketplace, you know, the more astute national accounts have equipment. But as you get downstream, the whole aftermarket in general, it was only 24% of the aftermarket service facilities that filled out the survey had charging equipment to safely charge AGM batteries. And guys, let me tell you, with these batteries mounted remotely in a vehicle, if you blow up a battery and it's underneath the front seat of that vehicle, you've just bought a car, because it's going to spew battery acid all over the vehicle, and it is not removable. So there's a lot of risk in not having the proper technology on today's vehicles. These batteries are identified, but often, you know, guys will ask me, well, what happens if I can't see the plate on the battery? I don't know. I always tell them, gamble that it's an AGM battery and charge it as if it's an AGM battery, because in the event that it's a regular conventional flooded acid battery, it's going to charge that battery just fine. Yes, it's going to take an extra 15 or 20 minutes to charge it, longer than it would if it were on a higher voltage system, but you've not ran the risk of damaging the battery or even blowing the battery up. So it's important to have these battery chargers in your shop today.
Good. Once again, Gary, we thank you for your time. This concludes tonight's webinar. If any of the participants have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to your MEDCO representatives. We will have this presentation available on our website, so that if you need to go back to review it for further information, please feel free to do so. But then also make sure you're working with your local MEDCO representative in case there are any issues or any questions that have come up that we haven't answered for you this evening. We'd be more than glad to get back to you with any questions you may have. At this point, this concludes tonight's webinar, and we thank you all for attending.
Thanks.